Even in my own life, I'll tell you really briefly about my next. And even in my life as making a vow to God at the age of 7, that I would keep my virginity until I get married. And you know, it's been, when you're a kid, you say that, and when in my teens, I was still okay, it was cool. But now that I'm 43, God help my soul. Hey, we have kids in the room, so we can't go deep. But God help my soul. We have teenage, yes. Help my soul, and it's to encourage you. Like sometimes people say, well, you know what? You're a virgin. You don't have no problems. Your body don't care. Yes, it does. There's moments like, Jesus, help me. I want to stay saved right now. Or there's a guy that looks like Rick Fox. You're like, Lord Jesus, no. I got to say no. But I said this to say that it's not easy. I even remember that I have friends that actually are, sometimes you think you will get these things from the outside. But it's times when you get it from the inside. And so I had friends that were believers. And they told me, girl, if you just don't compromise a little bit, like you're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. I mean, you just ain't doing nothing. Can't still go too deep. But you ain't doing nothing. You're not patting around. You're not doing nothing. It ain't gonna work. Nobody gonna wait for you. And I remember I came home and I was going through. And God spoke to me. He said, Shemaiah, what did Elisha say to me? And when Jezebel was chasing him, he said that he was the only prophet, killed all the prophets, and he was the only one left. And he said, what did I say to him? And I said, you said you had 7,000 that didn't bow. And he said, Shemaiah, so it is. If I have you, and you have made the decision to follow me with all your heart, you better believe that I have somebody waiting for you. Now I'm like, right now, okay. But I'm like, well, Lord, where is he at now? That was years ago. But in the midst of that, even though those things hasn't happened, but God has been faithful. Come on. We look at things and go, I got this baby yet, and you promised me a husband, you didn't do it. You promised me a wife, you didn't do it. You say you're going to give me a car, you didn't know how. What is going on? But we miss what God has done. We miss that God might have saved our daughter and saved our husband. We might have missed that when we went to the doctor and said they saw something, but now it's gone. But you said, I didn't get that house. But those are the things that we still have to celebrate what God is doing, because one thing I do know, that if you still have breath in your body, Numbers 23:19 says this, that he's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent. Have he not said it, and shall he not make it good? So he's going to bring it to pass. If he made you the promise, it's going to come to pass. Yeah. And so, in this, being this person and abstaining and going through persecution and being talked about, and then there was times like it wasn't perfect. There was times when I thought that I could have makeout sessions and do those things. And that's when God came to me and says that even a hint, Ephesians 5:2 says that even a hint of sexual immorality is still a sin. And so even in that, and so I really had a little pepper, a little red pepper in there. And I had to get all those things out. And so then what I put in place, come on, girl. What I put in place, following Christ isn't easy, but it do pay well. It pay well spiritually, and even we don't do it for the natural, but I can tell you this, that the favor of God will rest on your life like crazy, unbelievable. We don't serve him for stuff, but he does say in Hebrews 11:6 that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And so how I describe it is just like a person that loses a dog, and then they say, hey, you find my dog, I'll give you $500. You find the dog, you get the $500, then that's the bonuses. And that is what God does. He throws in bonuses, handfuls of blessings. You wake up, you cry, I don't know how he did it. What in the world? He did it because of your faithfulness. So I want to tell you to the young people that's in this room, going to school, and people talking about it, say, come on. And we see so many things, and we see same-sex relationships, and we see all of this, and the music is telling us to do whatever we want to do, have it your way, and all of these things. But I promise you, and I tell you, that if you do it and honor God with your bodies, just like we can think of Joseph. Joseph was tempted, and he ran away, and he was in his teeth. He ran away he said, no, I will not do it. He said, first of all, I will not do it because of my God. That's right. It has to do with the relationship with God. We have to get our relationships up to when the enemy will come with something that looks good. So, oh my God, it looks good. but it's a no. And even going back to this young prophet here, it was at the point that he forgot that God never changes. And so that's what we must always know, that God never changes. He doesn't change. God told him not to, and he did it anyway. A little bit back to my testimony, and I'm going to move on, talking about the next. And I remember meeting this guy at Guest Central at a church, met him at church, and ended up going out with him a couple times. And then we went to dinner, like Rick's restaurant was like on the beach or something. And we went there, and we're sitting there, and I'm thinking it's a great dinner, and I'm thinking, okay, he's nice looking. I'm like, oh, he's my flavor. This is gonna work. He loves Jesus. Oh, yes. And so, talking with him, and then all of a sudden he says, now, if we're gonna be in a relationship, now this is what's gonna have to happen. We'll have to do test driving, we'll have to live together, have to do all of that. Because how do we know we're gonna make it? Like, we got to know. And I'm sitting there, and I have like really got to the point in that 5 years that I was like, when I first started dating, I was just like mess doing. But then I had just like, nope, nothing, clean slate, nothing. And he's like, and so I said, well, it was like 8 o'clock. And I said, well, the dinner was nice, I gotta go home. And but on the inside, I was like, oh God, another one of them bite the dust. And so he walks me to my car, and he goes, you know what, this really stinks. And I said, yes, it does. And I said, but if you had caught me about a year ago, then I would have been trying to figure out how to keep you in my life like I used to, and be like, I worked away, and all these things, and crying and stuff, and then still find myself compromising because I'm still trying to please somebody. I said, but it's not, I'm not going to do that anymore. God means more to me than you mean to me right now. So I get in my car. Now, I'm driving down the road, but you know the enemy does, he comes right in, and he comes in, look at you, gonna be biased, and you're gonna be a nut, I'm gonna put on a black and white, you done, put the cross on, you finished, you over. And I'm crying out, oh God, you know myself, what's happening to Jesus, oh my God. I was 37 at the time, and I was seeking God, as a point to this, and I was seeking God for ministry, and asking God. I was working at the pawn shop full-time, value pawn. I was working there, I've been there for 15 years, and I kept saying, God, when are you gonna do it? Not knowing that because I said that no, that my next was right there. And so in that, when I said no, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from these pastors that want me to come on staff full-time as a connection pastor, something that I have been praying and asking God for years, and God gave it to me. I want to tell you, there's a next. And if even from that, I was like, oh, what would have happened if I had a compromise and said, all right, we'll go ahead and live together. We'll go ahead and do this. What would have happened? I wouldn't have gotten the next. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be standing here with you tonight talking to you because I would have sold out. And that's what the enemy wants. He'll bring something to us and say, come on. And whatever it is that some of us is in this room, and there's things that we have in our lives right now. And God is saying to let it go. Let it go. Don't think about it. This is an addiction, pornography, whatever, fear, doubt, whatever it is. Whatever we're facing. There's so many things that we're facing in this world that even as we're believers, it still come knocking at our door. It still come knocking at our door. But we come today and say, no, no.